All right, let's get started. So hi everyone, thanks for coming. I know it's the last day and you're all a bit tired. Some of you have jet lags, including me. Um, this session is a session we're going to focus on privacy. It's scheduled for 40 minutes, so we'll have some time for questions. But again, you don't have to open your computer. You can just have a chill and listen to our talk. So my name is Yacine Rezgui. And I'm with my colleague Terence Zhang here, and we're both developer relation engineers at Google, and we work on privacy. And today, we're going to show you how to build a privacy-focused application by taking a sample app that we created that's doing not all the good things you should not be doing anyway, and we're going to improve it step by step. And the whole goal of it is, rather than just showing you code snippet, which I'm guilty of been doing a lot, especially at Google I/O Talks, I want really you to see like how I'm just going in code and just doing that, because privacy always seemed really complicated and just hard to do. Like the migration is just painful. I mean, we all worked on scope storage, so we have some legacy there. So here the goal is really just to make you see that privacy is not that hard to implement in your app, and it's definitely a good thing to do, both for your app and for your users. All right, so a quick look at our agenda. I'm going to go making some intro on privacy and why it's important for your apps to do so. And after that, I will highlight you some storage improvement we're adding on Android 13. And I will have a look at the data access audit API. We introduced that in Android 11, but it may not have been clear for some of you folks. So I will show you how to do that. And after that, I'll hand over to my colleague Terence, who will go over permission best practices. And after that, finally, we'll finish by reducing location access without reducing feature richness in your app. Again, feel free to ask questions at the end. We'll be happy to answer you. So privacy is really important for us on Android. It's a core principle that we embed in every product and strategy decision. And the thing that's I mean, you have a lot of buzzwords here, like perfect marketing slide. But the thing that I really want to take you as a takeaway of this session is following best practice is just not like a feel-good thing. Like, it's not like, yeah, I did privacy, everyone is happy, etc. It's different in a sense that it's also user-friendly. You're not asking all the permission from the beginning. You're not blocking every feature because you didn't get all the permission. I mean, we've been all guilty of that because it's just so much easier to handle. But the fact that users want alternatives that are more privacy conscious, and they'll be happy to switch over to a competitor just because you didn't implement the right privacy best practices affects also your business. So it's just not a user-friendly good thing to do. It's also a competitive advantage over a competitor or in a specific market just because you were more conscious of privacy. So again, rather than just showing code snippet, let's head towards some code. So let me show you my setup, no, it's on this side. All right. You also my password, great. So in this case, I will show you what I have on my app. So I just reinstalled on my device. And from the beginning, it's asking me all the permissions. And I'm pretty sure you've seen this type of use case somewhere in one of the apps. I'm not going to mention them. But it's definitely trying to get access, both for my storage, my camera, my location. I mean, let's give it a go. So I will request the permission. OK, it goes straight away on asking the camera. I'm going to be nice, but not that nice. So I'm just going to give it this time only. And for location, I'm a bit unsure, like precise is too much. Let's get approximate, and I will get only this time as well. And it also need access to my storage. I mean, like, God's sake. All right. Oh, it needs precise. Wow. OK, this app is asking way too much stuff. But OK, I will do it. Like, I'm a nice guy. You should not do that for your privacy, though. You should be really careful. But for the sake of this app, I will do that. So let's give it here and here as well. And finally, I'm back to my app that I have to close because it's so badly coded. Don't do that. Yeah, all right, I open it. Oh, wow. I really coded so bad. Wow. Do not hire me. Okay, permission, and I have location, precise. Okay, so do not give precise location just because an app has been doing. And that's a perfect use case of why you should not copy my app. Okay, now I should be back and I should be good. Okay, finally, wow. All right. So this app is a photo memory app, so I guess kind of common type that you may find on the Play Store, where I can just kind of log some memories. So let's say we are here today at DreadCon, July 8th. I'm gonna try to get my location. We're in Berlin, perfect. And I'm gonna take a nice picture of the audience here. All right, look at you, you're all beautiful. Let's not make jealous and get the other side. All right, okay. And I want to add some pictures that I have already on my phone, and I created a local picker. If you used Media Store, you're probably familiar with this kind of thing, and I can scroll, and I will just get this one, for example, for whatever reason, and I will save it. So far I just showed you a simple app where I'm just recording stuff. I can possibly share that with friends. Here I'm just showing how to add one. Typical flow, but it has been asking for way too much permission from the beginning. Let's improve that. Okay, so now I'm gonna go back to my slides. And yeah, we're good. Okay, so we'll start with storage improvement. And on Android 13, we've added the photo picker. So I've been talking on that for a while, since I think October. And the idea is to bring a privacy-forward photo picker on Android where the user is in control of selecting both images and videos. They know precisely what they're giving access to your app. And for you as a developer, you just have a list of URIs that you can copy, that you can save to your own database, to send to your cloud storage for services, etc. But the whole interaction is kind of handy, nice. The UX is natural for users. A big part of that is also that you don't have to maintain all of the code there. Like if you played with Media Store, you know it's not an easy API. I've been working on it a lot. It's really powerful, and I love it for that. But it's not an easy API. And on top of that, you've seen that maybe my own picker is kind of slow. It's trying to get all of that at the same time. So for performance, it's also impacting. Lastly, regarding the photo picker that we're bringing, as you don't have to maintain it, we're also backporting it to Android 11 and 12 through Mainline. So you may have seen the Google Play system updates. That's the Mainline project we've been talking on a while, where we're adding new features or updating some of them without waiting for a whole yearly Android release. So all of that nice UX that I'm showing on the side, you get that with less than 5 lines of code. And for devices that don't have the photo picker, we can just use Action Open Document underneath automatically. The other advantage is when you create your own custom UI, the users who are not aware of that UX in your app, they're like, I'm unsure how to select those images, or sometimes it's broken, sometimes it doesn't work. It's a bit confusing. Here, by using something native to Android, users will be more familiar and more willing to select items for you. So first, as I mentioned in the previous slide, I didn't mention out loud, but it was written in my slides, we will have access soon to cloud content from cloud providers like Google Photo. So I'm pretty sure some of you may have been to Google Photos or a similar app, downloading a picture that was taken 10 years ago when you were still young, for some of us, and going there, trying to download it, to be able to select it again in the app, is kind of cumbersome. Here, you will be able to have access to all of that by default. You will have a much smoother UX, much faster, because it's directly part of Media Provider, the element that handles both Media Store and the photo picker. And you can select a limit, you can limit the number of selected items. So rather than letting the user select many and after that say, sorry, you selected too many, we can just use that for that. And again, we'll improve it over time without having to wait for Android releases, which is a big deal. Next slide. So let's have a look at how can I do that. So I go back to my screen. As an FYI, I'm gonna live code-ish. So we always messed up some live coding session before, me the first. So rather than writing everything, I'm just gonna use the amazing live templates we have on Android. Studio. So I added some of them. It would be much faster for me to type, and at least for you, it won't be confusing on like, why such a bad developer is at Google? So fortunately, we'll avoid that. So the first thing to know regarding my picker that I can show here on the side is I have this kind of model window that I'm opening and where I can select files. Whenever I select files, I just kind of select a URI and I copy it in my app storage, the whole thing. I'm not going to show all the logic. What I really care and what I really want to show you is the interaction with the API itself rather than all your business logic. That's up to you, and you're already more familiar on it than me. So let me go down. I'm going to hide a bit all of that, like that it's not confusing. And I will register an activity result to launch the photo picker. By the way, the UI is written in Compose because it should be written in Compose. So if you're not familiar, don't worry. The goal is not to focus on the UI, it's just to focus on the logic itself. So my amazing live template, I'm going to write it down. Boom. So what I'm doing here, I'm just registering an activity result. You have a similar API whenever you use normal activities. And in this case, I'm having this pick multiple visual media, which is part of Android X. It's part of the Alpha 5, which I coded personally, so it's made with a lot of love. Please use it. And in this case, I'm just putting a limit because in my UI, as you've seen, I have only 3 items maximum that I can select. So I can put a different number, it's up to you. It's just, I want the photo picker to handle that by itself rather than me doing it for the users. And once I select the images, I will just use my business logic, which will update the UI, etc., etc. So the same code as I have currently, but I'm just putting my activity result launcher. Now I go down to some different part of my UI. I'm just folding everything here. I should have done that before, sorry. So finally, in my photo region, I have, as you've seen here, the location, and underneath I have photos. And here you can see in the logic that I'm trying to load the local picker pictures, which is like doing the whole media store queries interaction. Again, we can have a look, but it's not that interesting code. And after that, I'm just showing my model. So I'm just updating a variable, which will show finally that model coming up whenever I press this button. Instead, I will replace that. So I make sure to remove like that, I don't forget. And instead of doing all of that, I will just do S2, boom. All right, make sure I got the right import. So here we have our activity result launcher, and it takes a parameter. And as a parameter, I will have image only. Again, that's part of ActivityX. You don't have to do that, but let's say you want to have image and video, for example. I just changed that to image and video. Oops. Image and video. Or if I want to have video only, again, I can do that. So all the intent interaction, you don't have to do it. Just use the activity result API. It's much easier. In our case, I just want images only. And now, last thing, I'll just go to my manifest and make sure I remove the storage permission because I don't need it anymore. So, see ya. Okay, let's run that. Oh, it needs that. Oh, God damn it. Sorry. See, that's why they don't do live coding, huh? Okay, it wanted it, yes, but I will remove you after that. So now when I go and create a new log, I'll just have my picker. So now, in just less than 5 lines of code, I have a nice picker that works on Android 11 and above. And if I use it on an older device, I just use action open document. Again, the same code works straight away on API 2019, actually, on KitKat onwards. So you don't have to do that. And I can select files. Let's say, as I said, that I can select more than 3. I'm still going to give it a try. If I select a 4th one, I select up to 2 items. So again, all the logic, I don't do it. And now I have my sweet images added. This one not that great, and still, let's get one with the amazing audience here. All right, yeah, I save that, and let's say we save another one, so from tomorrow. And now I have both my things. So selecting images should be a no-brainer operation for you, and I just show it. I did it in 5 minutes. I will let my colleague Terence make sure that he remove and clean up all of those permissions for me afterwards. Okay, so that was the photo picker. Now let's head over the data access audit API. So one thing that we've heard from developers is whenever you work on a really complex application, and sometimes really old application, Android has been here for a long time, like no one wants to touch the old code because like it works, so please do not touch it. It's just painful. And some of it is even written in Java with all the things you should not be doing anyway. But sometimes it's just how to figure out which part of my app is still accessing this permission. Because users have been complaining, I'm getting location, but I remember that I removed that. And in a huge code base or in a code base where you have a lot of dependencies, it's a bit hard to figure that part. So now I will show you how to use the Data Access API to do that. So let me go back to Android Studio. And in this case, I'll go to my main activity. So I'm using Compose, so I just have one activity. I have some setup you don't have to figure out. I'll let Terence explain some of that afterwards. But what I want to add is a data access audit listener. So let's do that. I'm just going to remove that like that I don't forget. And in short, what it does is whenever I access a specific permission, one of these callbacks will be called. And in my case, because I'm using the camera with camera X and location with the GMS services, it will, on async noted, will be called. And in this case, whenever I'll have the location being called, I will have, let me write it here, location with a nice emoji next to it. And whenever I'm trying to access the camera, it's camera with an emoji next to it. And here, as you know, it's given a stack trace. I can create a throwable like that. I can see which part of my code called it. But I'm just going to have it as it is now to simplify that. And this API has been added, as I mentioned, on Android 11, so API 30. So I'll just make sure I have this require API. Now, last thing, I will just create here, I will just start it. So on a device that run Android 11, just start this listener, and after that we'll see everything in my logcat. So let me open logcat here. I'm filtering only with private data to make sure that we don't waste time with all the logs coming up. And I'm just going to restart my app. So I go and create it. I'm going to access the location. Oh. That's why they always say to have a talk with someone. Okay, so if I clear out and I do it again like that, we're not too confused. If I dezoom a bit, I can see, yeah, private data, location with my cute maps icon, and I can see precisely when it has been called. So again, let's say you have a lot of dependency, a lot of third-party SDK in your app. If you put a listener at the custom application level or your activity level, you will be able to monitor all of that automatically. And now if I use the camera, look at him. I can see that as well. So whenever you have a lot of calls to permissions and you need to make sure, especially in a big app, where you're calling that, or if it's a dependency calling that, just use the data access audit listener, and after that will be much easier for you to debug things. Okay, so now next step, I'm just going to close everything because I'm making a mess of the files. And I'll go back to my slides. Oh, yeah. So if you want to read more about the Audit Access API, the Data Audit Access API, have a look at this link, the slides, and I guess the recording may be available afterwards. But overall, whenever you need to make sure like where you're calling permission, and you need to make sure that any of your dependencies are not doing something on your back, just use that, it will be much easier for you. And now I'll hand over to my colleague Terence, who will tell you how to properly handle permissions. To you, dude.
Now, for everybody's favorite topic, permissions. Before that, Yacine, my colleague Yacine was very generous. He gave all of the permissions on launch. Let's say I'm like a little more privacy conscious user. I see all the permissions earlier and I don't know. I just don't really want to grant them. So let's go ahead and go back here and do a fresh install of the app just to make sure that we reset everything for, the harder user to deal with, the more privacy conscious user to deal with. Okay, as that's loading, let's continue with the slides. First, a look of where we are coming from for everybody's favorite topic, permission. So for our bad example, let's see. So the app has restarted. Once again, back to the same screen as what Yacine had earlier. This app is requesting for a bunch of permissions. As a user, I'm like, let me try your app first. Let me prove to me that why you need these permissions and prove your value proposition. But unfortunately, I don't really have a chance for that. So the user clicks the only button there is on the screen, and then the user doesn't allow the permissions. Now, let's see what happens. The app says, go to settings. This is like saying, if the user isn't ready to grant the permissions, don't even use my app at all. Please go to settings and re-enable everything for me. Not a really good first impression. All right, as a user, I just really want to use this app, and I'm willing to give it a pass this time. So let's go to settings and grant everything only this time. So ask every time. And then granting location and granting storage. Don't worry, later we will show you how to optimize everything and make this app still workable. So now we would restart the app since we've just changed the permissions in the settings, and this time we'll grant only this time. Okay, so here is where we are right now with the bad, not so great example. Let's fix things before we totally lose the trust of our users. All right, before that, let me first explain to you the importance of permissions and privacy in permissions. So as a rule of thumb, you'd want to avoid requesting all of your app's permissions at once when the user first launches your app. This is to avoid overwhelming the user and forcing them to make decisions on whether to share personal information with your app before they're even familiar with it. I'm sure you've all seen how janky and how unoptimized the permission flow was with the app just now. I have an analogy that will hopefully further help make this more clear. Imagine just meeting someone for the first time at a party or at a dinner. How would you feel if they immediately asked for your wallet? Just like you would feel extremely uncomfortable in that kind of situation, your apps also should not ask users to grant access to their personal information right after launch. Instead, the goal is to request all of your permissions when users expect it, or as we often say in Android, in context with the current user flow. How do you determine what context means? Well, that varies based on your app and your features, but basically, as a rule of thumb, you'd want to request permissions when users actually start using the feature that requires that permission. Instead of pre-requesting everything on launch, yeah, it does make it easier sometimes just to get it all out of the way, but we've learned users really don't like that, and you've seen from our demo earlier on screen as well. For example, if your app offers voice input, maybe only request a permission when the user taps that microphone button. Lastly, let's go over how your app should behave when users deny permissions. We never want to see that happen, but let's be honest, as developers, it does happen. The answer is absolutely not like what our app did just now, immediately force users to go to the settings page. That will greatly hurt user trust. The correct way of handling permission denial is your app should still provide the best experience that it can without the permission. For example, if microphone access is denied, you should still promote full usability of the text functionality, and the users can use your app as normal with text. You can also mention which features are unavailable due to denied permissions to alert the user as well. In addition to asking for permissions in context, we encourage you to follow best practices when it comes to explaining your permission requests as well. So we have research from the Carnegie Mellon University that shows that if people know why an app is requesting something sensitive, like their location, for example, maybe they provide a rationale so your friends can find you on the app and navigate to you. That makes users feel a lot more comfortable and much more likely to grant the permission to the app. The difference is quite measurable, actually. It's not just like a 5%, 10% difference. One of the recent studies showed that users are significantly less likely, 54% actually, to deny permissions when there is a rationale. 54%. So good reason to include rationale in your apps. However, we also don't want to overwhelm the user, though, by showing the rationale before every single permission prompt. Thus, the should show request permission rationale helper function, the one you can see here, is your best friend in this case, as it will return true when the system determines that your app should show rationale and explain your permission requests. So without further ado, let's get our hands dirty and make some changes to update the app for requesting permissions. So first, previously in the demo, we've granted permissions for that one time to get past the permissions page. Let's close the app and later restart it after we've updated the logic. So earlier, let's first figure out why the app wasn't letting us proceed unless we granted permission. So here in Start Navigation, you can see that we're first checking to see that we have all the permissions before letting the user go to the home screen. That is not ideal. The permissions route was the one that was trying to force all the users to grant all the permissions. So let's figure out a better way to do that. Let's get rid of this and let the user just go to the home screen first. So we'll do screens, dot home, dot route. Letting the users start on the home screen. That's a good start. Now coming to the add log screen, we're registering the activity result here first to request the camera permission. So before you request any permissions, you first need to register the activity result. This is the code that will be called if the user makes the decision on the permission. So in this case, if the user does grant the camera permission, let's say the user is nice later and we've convinced them. Okay, so what we need to do then is we need to update the view model, and also we need to send the users to the camera screen so that they can take a picture on the spot. So besides registering for the activity result, we also need to actually request the permission. So if we scroll down to where our app handles photos, thank you, Yacine, for the very helpful regions. Now, this is the camera on click. So this is the code that it will call when we click the camera icon. Instead of just sending users to the camera screen and assuming we have the permissions because we had the annoying screen forcing users to give us that permission in the beginning, we're going to check first to see if we have the permissions at all. And if so, continue the same logic, send users to the camera screen. Otherwise, we'd actually want to request the permissions this time. So let's go ahead and launch the app with our changes. And here we go. So let's take a look. First of all, already so much better. It's letting me go to the home screen without forcing me to request grant all the permissions. I can actually familiarize myself with the app and decide whether or not I actually want to grant these permissions. Now coming to the camera, only when I tap the camera icon does the permission request show up. So as I'm tapping the camera icon, we can be relatively certain that the user is expecting to grant a permission this time. It's not like we randomly asked them before they even understood the app. But let's say the user, as I mentioned, I'm not a very easy user. I'm very privacy conscious. I still don't know why the app is trying to get access to my camera screen. So for now, I'm just still going to deny it. As developers, that's not what we want to see, right? So I wonder if there's a way that we can improve that. Answer, as always, is yes. We can add an explanation UI. So the explanation UI serves two purposes, or explanation screen or rationale screen. It should clearly explain why the app requires the permissions. Of course, it's in the name, right? But also, it should allow users that aren't really ready to grant the permission just yet a way to opt out before they see the system prompt. As you may know, Android has this feature where, like, if the user denies a permission from your app too many times, you just lose the ability to ask again. As developers, we really, really want to avoid that page. So hence, we show this permission screen. It's your app's own UI. You handle it. So, if the user isn't quite ready to grant it just yet, maybe wait a little bit and ask them for it later. So let's implement it for camera. So first, we add the explanation dialog for the camera permission. And then, so let's go through this a little bit. It's a lot of code. So first, we have this variable, it's Boolean, whether or not we should be showing that explanation dialog. For now, it's false. If it is true, though, we show the camera explanation dialog, where on confirm, we go ahead and launch the camera permission, and we hide the dialog. However, if the user dismisses, or maybe the user isn't so ready to grant the permission right now, we just hide the dialog and let the user continue doing other things in the app. We don't want to block the user after all. But doing this, we save that system camera prompt. We don't get our app into that permanent denial state. So let's have a look at what the camera explanation dialog does. We have a title, camera access. We'd like your camera access, right? And the text says, Photolog would like access to the camera to be able to take pictures when creating a log. So it's like a nice explanation so that the users can understand why we even need the camera permission in the first place. Camera is, after all, one of the most sensitive permissions. So now that we have it in the camera logic, we need to check, should we show the rationale? And if so, we should show it. So that is the logic. Let's explore what happens on click now. We first check to see if the user has already granted us the camera permission. If so, let's just go to the camera page. Nothing else needs to be done. Otherwise, let's check to see if the system, would like us to show the explanation screen. If the system recommends it, let's turn the Boolean on and go ahead and show the explanation screen. Otherwise, let's go ahead and just request the camera permission. So let's run the app. And then, so now with the updated app, I've already declined the permission once earlier. So now when I click the camera, the system determines that, hey, please show that explanation UI. So you'll see our explanation UI right now on the screen here. Again, there's the explanation. We would like access to the camera so that you can create beautiful photo logs and remember your memories. Let's say the user isn't quite ready to grant it yet. So I just click dismiss, and the app goes back to the home screen. And the user can still do everything else. For example, I can still select images and use other parts of my apps that don't involve the camera. This is really important. We really don't want to block the user, as we mentioned before. So let's say a few days has gone by. The user has really used other parts of our app and really, really like it. Maybe the user is more willing to grant the permission now. So we show the dialog again. This time, the user clicks continue. Now, when we're fairly certain that the user is actually going to grant us that permission, we finally use our chance and show the system dialog. And this time, the user grants it, and we go to the camera screen as expected. So I hope you see that from the camera permission, how we've improved the permissions flow. First of all, we've implemented in-context permissions. Instead of asking for everything on launch, we're asking for it when the user actually taps the camera icon. That is very important, but that is not all. Not all users will feel comfortable granting the permissions without an explanation, without knowing what your app plans to do with it. Even if you build the best in-context permission flow, there will still be those users that don't choose to grant that permission. To get a portion of those users to choose to grant us permissions and trust our apps, we can show the explanation UI, explain our usage, and also preserve our chance to ask again. So moving back to our slides really quickly, that's the explanation screen for camera. We've done that. We also want to just show you a smoother way, putting it all together for location permissions. Basically, doing everything we've done just now, but in one step to show you just how quick and easy it is to actually follow these best practices. I know sometimes, like with these permissions, it's hard to do. Like you wonder where to put it and how to implement the best practice, but let's go through the location. So after the explanation for activity result for camera, we'd want to register the activity result for location. So let's go ahead and do P5 for location, and here's the activity result. You'll notice that here it looks a little bit different than camera, and that's because we are still requesting both the course and the find location from users. Obviously, this is something that we want to fix later, spoiler alert, but for now, here's what we have. Only when the user grants both the permissions do we move to this isGranted state. We alert the model that our permissions have been granted, and we also go ahead and fetch the user's location. Let's also add the explanation dialog for the location permission. You are already familiar with this from camera. It's very similar. We explain the location usage, and then on confirm, we show the location dialog, permission dialog, and on dismiss, let's not bother the user. So let's move down to actually request that permission. So let's expand our location region. And here is the code for our location picker. As you can see, just like camera before, we're assuming we already have the permission. Let's not do that. Let's actually check. So let's go ahead and check. So you can see here, again, the three cases. First of all, if the user has already granted us location permission, that's great. Let's go ahead and fetch the location. Otherwise, if the system determines that we should show the permission rationale, let's go ahead and do that. Otherwise, finally, we just request the permission. So let's go ahead and see how it works for location. Here it is, our app. Again, coming to the home screen, thankfully, not the permission screen. Getting location. Here, only after the user taps location do we see the permission prompt. Let's say the user isn't quite ready to grant it for us yet, and I just hit decline earlier. Now, when we tap again, we get the explanation dialog. Now, when the user is ready, they can choose to grant it. So this is, together with in-context requesting, this explanation UI will help make it more likely for your app to get permissions, and also it will help you save your app from that permanent denial state. So here is the DAC page where you can learn more information about permission requesting. Everything I said earlier, all the best practices and sample code, you can find more here. We hope that that quick demo helped you to, will help inspire you to improve your permission request flow in your apps. Or if you're already following all the best practices and requesting in context and explaining, congratulations. We love you for that. There's one more topic. I know, one more topic on reducing location access. I know, it's Friday. So first, for location, it's also one of the most important permissions that we've covered earlier. And that's why we've shown that on the privacy dashboard. As a quick recap, in Android 12, we've added additional controls for location. Users now have a clear choice to provide less accurate location data to apps by selecting approximate instead of precise. Many of you may have already implemented that. If not, hopefully soon. Approximate location provides the app with an estimate of the user's location within 3 square kilometers. This should be enough precision for many of your app's features. We encourage all app developers whose apps need location to please review your use case and only request access find location if the current feature the user is currently engaging with requires that precise location. This means that even if you determine your app requires users' precise location for certain features, please pay attention to when it's needed. Often, you don't need to ask the user for the precise location immediately, as it is not needed until the user navigates to a particular feature, like navigation, for example. In those cases, we recommend that your app start with approximate access and progressively request for that precise access as needed. As a reminder, if the user denies the upgrade, your app should still work as much as possible. Now, many of you may be wondering what coarse access really means, right? Like, can I really trust that for my apps? What is 3 square kilometers, right? It's hard to visualize. So I hope this next graphic helps to put things into perspective. Just to show you what kind of granularity coarse access gives you, at the center of the circle is where we are here today, DroidCon. The outer circle is the coarse location perimeter. So let's say your app plans for some meetups in the area with, like to make new friends, or you're finding local restaurants that's close enough to drive to. You really don't need the user's precise location. With this coarse location, it's close enough, it's within the neighborhood. Like that would be an example of an app that could get by with the coarse location use case. So, of course, it's a live coding session. Our app only needs the user's city in order to save their memories and help them keep track of where they were. So let's do some live coding to reduce location access. I promise it'll be quick. I know the last session was a little long. So let's move up to where we declared the activity result for location. This one here is requesting for multiple permissions. We needed the coarse and fine. We don't need that anymore. Let's just have an activity result for just coarse. As you can see, just looks like the camera permission now. It's only an activity result for just one permission. From the explanation dialog, we also don't need to request both coarse and fine. Let's go ahead and request just coarse. Oop, messed up my spacing there. But yeah, so instead of requesting the array, we just request coarse. And then coming down to the actual location picker, let's go ahead and also request just coarse as well. So instead of this entire array, just have coarse location. Lastly, we want to be honest. We want to remove the permission from the manifest as well, just to show users, hey, our app really does not need fine location. And Yacine's storage permission, now that we don't have that bad permission screen asking for all the permissions, we can now finally remove it as well. So removing fine location and removing the storage permission. Let's see it live. As you can see, the app is launching. Now when we access location, it's just, oh, I need to close the app to reset the permission. Give me 1 second while I go to settings to reset the permission for our app, because it remembered our old settings. Location is asked every time, okay. And then now on photo log. So now you can see, instead of asking for both precise and approximate, the app just asks for approximate. And the user feels much more at ease with knowing that the app doesn't have access to their exact street address, because come on, what's a photo logging or photo memories app going to do with your precise street address anyway? So, and then you'll see that we're reducing location access without reducing our features. So the get location should still work for Berlin. It should still be able to find the city. And it does. So coarse location access is enough for many of your apps out there. So again, here is the page that many of you can go to learn more about fine and coarse location requests and everything else about location. So now let's wrap up. Privacy continues to be a focus for many of us here at Android. It's a core principle that we embed into every product and strategy decision. As a result, Android has released many features and best practices to help protect our users' privacy over the past few releases. However, we rely on you, the developer, to prepare your apps to adopt and follow these best practices to improve the user experience of your apps. That's why we've implemented many of the privacy features and best practices that we've released over the past several releases right here with all of you. We want to show you how you can integrate these abstract concepts into a real running app. As a quick recap, we went over storage improvements, leveraging data access audit APIs to find out where your app is accessing private information, following permission best practices, and reducing location access whenever possible. We hope that this will help you with implementing many of these privacy improvements in your apps as well. Thank you.